Hi, everybody. It's Kevin here. And if you're wondering why Joe's not here, it's because it's the middle of the night. And I am prone to bouts of insomnia often. And I couldn't sleep this evening. I'm sure Joe is like a normal person, unconscious right now. Um, Lucky him. Um, and I'm tired of getting up in the middle of the night and watching YouTube videos until I fall back asleep. So I wanted to watch something else. And I got up and I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll watch Fallout uh, for the channel. It's, a short 6 or 8 episodes. I'm not 100% sure. Um, I don't play video games. I don't know anything about it. So I'd be going completely blind. And then I got down here to set up everything to record. And it occurred to me that every reactor on Earth is probably doing Fallout right now. So, I mean, I'm already doing The Sopranos, and I've already had a couple of people make fun of me for like, "Oh, wow, how original! A reactor is watching The Sopranos." Sorry, I just wanted to see it. Um, so rather than kind of bandwagoning something else, I'll watch a show that I've had friends have told me for the last couple of years that I really need to watch. Um, I have friends who are big sci-fi nerds, and I myself am also a bit of a sci-fi nerd, but I've never watched this. The only thing on Apple I've ever watched is Ted Lasso, and I'm still paying for Apple, so I might as well enjoy that. I don't know anything about this show other than they told me it's historical fiction set during the Apollo program. And that's all I really know. The only thing I know is when I started, just when I pulled the video up, it started playing an ad for it, and it looked like Joel Kinnaman is the star. I watched about 4 seconds before I was able to stop and skip, but the opening ad was a close up shot of Joel Kinnaman, so I'm assuming he's the star of the show. And then there was an ad for something else that I didn't even bother watching. Um, so the reason I'm even bringing that up is I'm skipping ahead to it's showing on the video about a minute two in already, simply because one, I didn't want any spoilers from a trailer for the show I was starting to watch, which seems like a really weird thing for Apple to do, but okay. And I also don't know like if you're going to get the same ads I do as far as whatever the other thing was they were advertising, and if it's different ads, that means it's going to be different start points based on different lengths of the ad. So I thought for everyone's, uh, you know well-being as far as a starting place that I would just skip both of the ads. So I'm showing on my video about a minute or two in. So if you're watching and you just hit skip, then skip, or I don't even know if you're going to get 2 ads like I did, but skip the ads and just get to where the show starts. That's where I am, and hopefully we're all kind of on the same place. For any of you that do want to watch this along with me, I don't know if any of you are familiar with this. I'm not overly familiar with it. I've never seen an advertisement for it. Like I said, I've had friends who are kind of like into the genre who've told me it's really good. Um, yeah, other than that, I know absolutely nothing about this. Um, but I do like the time period. I'm a big fan of Apollo 13, the movie, obviously. I I did go to space camp when I was in 6th grade, the summer after 6th grade. So I'm that cool. But at any rate, if you are going to here to watch this with me, that's great. I very much welcome you. I think it's really cool. I'm going to go ahead and jump in here and then hopefully be able to fall asleep after we're done here.
I believe that this nation should commit itself to
Thanks,
achieving
so
the
Kennedy.
goal
So we're starting
before
with
this decade is
historical
out
accuracy
of
here anyway.
landing a man on the moon.
I wonder if this is going to be a situation where we have fictional characters mixed with real characters, kind of situation as far as the astronauts. Oh, we're getting kind of like a Cold War opening there. Okay, so this is like a lot bigger than just the space program.
Our great system will be judged. Quite obviously, if we fail, we're humiliated here and around the world.
I read some flat earthers recently who said that the moon is actually a big light only a few miles up. Twitter's a bad place.
That the landing vehicle was descending toward the surface.
Interesting. So they're showing the Apollo 11 landing, and that is not Walter Cronkite. Anytime you usually see this on TV or movies, they almost always show the Cronkite footage of it.
Este es el comienzo del futuro. Puedes ser parte de esto. Tal
Oh,
vez
that's a nice
puedas ir
sentiment.
a la luna algún día.
Emperor Hirohito.
They down? The radio wasn't sure if they landed or.
They're down.
I'm assuming that these are like characters who are going to be important as the story goes on that we're going to meet later. I really like when a show gives you the chance to kind of meet everybody quickly and then goes back and does proper introductions later. Paul Thomas Anderson's movies do that, right? And if you've seen like Boogie Nights or Magnolia, right? You get a quick whisk of all the central characters, and then we go back later and get to meet everybody.
What's really happening?
I'm hearing we're getting a picture.
What is happening? I'm very confused about the sentiment here. This feels weird.
I believe we're looking at the legs of the lunar lander.
This makes so much sense. What a great reveal. That was really well done on how they built to this.
We have the translation now.
They're not nervous, they're upset.
And reflect on what
Joel Kinnaman looks angry. Is he Neil Armstrong or one of the astronauts? That's amazing. What a great shot of the Soviet flag. Red Moon, of course. So is the show then like about like the heightened space race? Like America's rushing to catch up to the Soviets? Because it's always been weird to me, and I'm sure there's a good reason, money, whatever, technology took its time, whatever, but it's always so weird, right? That the U.S. got to the moon before the Soviet Union did, and they just never went. Like, if you were a year or 2 or 3 or 5 behind, wouldn't you still go? Unless you just, I don't know, quit the space race and focus on building nuclear bombs instead?
Kennedy started the moon race, Johnson ran it, and then Nixon tripped at the goal line. That's what it's going to be.
Whoever the Nixon actor is, he's really killing this.
They should have let you land. Then we would have been first.
Well, that wasn't my mission, buddy.
I hope they still fly Apollo 15.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is not Neil Armstrong. It's whoever was supposed to fly Apollo 15. Is this a person living at work?
Apollo 11 is scheduled to fly in 2.5 weeks. Neil,
It was
Buzz, Mike,
right
and their
before.
backup crew will continue training as planned.
Last one buys.
Is this back when all the astronauts had the same, so they all had the same Corvette? Do not condone this kind of behavior. After the Henry Ruggs incident, don't race your friends on the roads. I hope these guys help her clean up.
All the president cares about right now is getting an American on the moon as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Can you move up the launch of Apollo 11?
If the phase of the moon is not correct, there won't be enough light on the surface.
It's like the Mars launches. It's got to be right alignment.
Yeah, Deke, just last month you sent Apollo 10 all the way to the moon for what you called a dress rehearsal for the landing. Why didn't they just land? If they had, we'd have beaten the Russians by a full month.
How we doing?
Are these guys just going to spend the entire day at the bar? They like got sent home at like 9:30 in the morning. Is somebody going to say something stupid here? Is that why we're following a journalist around?
I mean, knowing what you know now, wouldn't a smart move been for Apollo 10 to land on the moon?
Nobody knew. This is like a dumb hypothetical.
You're right. We don't have guts at NASA anymore.
This is going to end up in the paper. He's going to be in trouble for this.
All in one fire.
Yeah, that's where Gus Grissom died. And I can't
I
remember
love
those
those
guys.
guys. All right,
Aleida! Vamos! Nos tenemos que ir ya, vamos!
Is this girl going to come to the States and work on the space program? Is that what we're kind of getting with here? Because we started with her in the conversation with her mom.
What's the story with that alarm?
Checking on a flight. Get right back to you.
Is this going to be a sexist thing? Like, how dare that lady from the back?
It's okay. They can still land.
Margot, you're out of your lane. This is a Guido issue.
Yeah.
Abort the landing.
Eagle, Houston, abort. Repeat, abort landing.
I wanted to double check my answer.
You knew the answer. You had the facts on your side, but you felt intimidated.
Von Braun wants you reassigned to the Apollo Applications Project, effective immediately. Von Braun wanted you out of the program completely, but I wouldn't let him go that far. You want to cry about Apollo 15? Let me tell you something. There may not be an Apollo 12.
Senator Edward Kennedy of
No,
Massachusetts
that is Ed Kennedy.
announced today that he was canceling a weekend party on Chappaquiddick Island.
Chappaquiddick Island, is that when he had his incident where the woman drowned in the car? That's not happening now? So is this going to politically help Teddy Kennedy?
You'll ask for carrier duty then, right? Commander of your own fighter squadron?
Something like
To
that.
a reporter!
Yeah, that was dumb.
I thought there was supposed to be this code. The code says you're not supposed to talk about those things. That's what you said. Not with your buddies, not with your family, not with your wife.
So he's iced her out. Yeah, okay. Now I understand why she's mad. Go apologize, Ed. Okay, good. This makes me feel better. At some point he can say, I'm sorry for never talking to you about how I feel about my life.
I bring you adjusted fuel and payload calculations for the S4B.
At least he's kind of eating the fact that he screwed up a little bit.
I think Siberia sits over there.
The president doesn't usually call the silver medalist. Just glad we remembered.
Just as well. It was always just extra weight.
If Apollo 11 were to end in failure, the entire program would probably be canceled.
And we know they don't, even though this is a new timeline, anything can happen. It looks like the entire cast of the Book of Mormon.
Failure is not an option.
Did he actually say those words on Apollo 13? Or I remember seeing a movie here. I like the fact that he's not doing like an Ed Harris impression, which, you know, let's face it, actors can do. It's kind of like in A Few Good Men when Tom Cruise does a Jack Nicholson impression. Oh my god, the zoom focus. That was so cool. Like there's actually a physical camera there watching. That was so cool.
You ever think about what you'd have said if it had been you?
I wouldn't think about it because it'd be too painful to not be the one.
I would have said, I'm Gordo Stevens and I come in peace.
Oh, it's the dark side of the moon.
It wasn't. If I'd have known Deke's wife was going to show up, I would have had the butler bring out the good silver. Hello, Karen.
So does the hierarchy at NASA kind of reflect the hierarchy of the wives? Is that what I'm kind of getting here? If that's Deke's wife and he kind of runs the astronaut program?
For Edward to make a public denial. Deke would be able to persuade Dr. Von Braun to reinstate him on 15.
It's interesting that the conversation between the wives, and it's not between the people actually in the situation.
Eddie would never get up and lie. He went to Annapolis.
We are about to land a man on the moon.
Godspeed, Eagle.
It's Mike Collins. He gets to stay up, or has to, depending on your position.
Come on, sit down.
It's so crazy because I know how this ends and I'm still tense. Wow, that's crazy. They're like crossing the border right at the moment when Apollo 11's touching down. That's really, really cool symmetry. God, this looks so good.
Got some boulders up ahead, right in our path.
Should we abort?
No. I mean, yes.
Who knows the situation?
We've lost telemetry.
What?
No bio readings.
So now what?
Eagle, this is Houston.
It's been 2 hours. I wonder what's different from the actual, like, what changed?
If they are alive, what's our contingency plan?
There is no contingency
Yeah.
plan.
There is no way to effect a rescue from the lunar surface.
Yeah. You'd have to already be there.
Karen, you and Luann head over to the Aldrin house. Betty and Jackie to the Collins. Linda, you come with me over to the Armstrongs. I think it's gonna be a long night.
Yeah.
Doctor, we have a problem.
I decided a long time ago that if something like this were to happen, that I wasn't coming home alone.
I am not calling the president and telling him that Michael Collins refuses to come home alone.
Tranquility Base here. Do you read?
Tranquility Base, Houston. Neil,
is that the lander?
The Eagle has landed.
Oh my!
A feather or two on the way down. But...
Oh my God! Oh, I did not see that coming. Oh my God! Second-hand elation here.
On one of my better landings.
Okay, so everyone lives to fight another day. Okay. It's a good thing Mike Collins didn't start heading home. Yeah, oh yeah, it's at an angle, yeah. Slid in. Oh, this is so cool. Wow. What a cool premise for a show. Oh man. Okay. Wow, what a great setup for the series. So I'm assuming now that then what we're gonna have is like an escalation of the space race between the Soviet Union and the United States, both they both gone to the moon, so they both keep going back now. Is that kind of what the issue is? Do we escalate the advances in the space race in terms of the technology and the like they've kind of talked about earlier, the bold steps that get taken by both sides? Because after Apollo 11 happened, you don't really hear much about I don't know how close the Soviets were at that moment to actually being able to do it themselves. Obviously, in the show, they did it faster, but were they close? And then they were like, well, we didn't get there first, so never mind, we'll just stop. Or were they not anywhere near close? And by the time they were, it was like, well, no one's going to care anyway. The United States has kind of really planted that flag, maybe even more than once at that point. Maybe they weren't ready in the 70s at all. Maybe they didn't even maybe they never got to the point where they were ready. They just stopped. And focused on the Soyuz missions instead. Wow. What? Well, yeah, that raises a lot of questions about moving forward what the show's going to look like. But it's a really great premise, right? What happens if the space race kind of escalates after the Apollo 11 landing instead of kind of starts fizzling out there, because it was legitimately big. For a while, it was important. Maybe Cold War tensions escalate. Maybe they subside a little bit on the focus again on this on building spaceships instead of building nuclear bombs. I'm really curious too about. I thought it was an interesting choice to have Ted Kennedy not go to Chappaquiddick that weekend. I'm assuming it's that weekend is why they put it in there. He canceled the trip, and I do believe that that's where he went with a date, let's say. I'm not really sure if it was a professional date or someone else. As a kid, you hear, I thought it was a professional date, but he has a car accident and she dies and he survives, and it's a big enough scandal to derail any presidential hopes that he had, certainly, although it didn't keep him out of Congress, out of the Senate. He was in the Senate forever after that. But I'm assuming we're kind of getting it that doesn't happen, so that as the Nixon was saying in the show, that sets Teddy up to be a thorn for Nixon as far as losing the space race, as far as having sort of kangaroo court hearings that or political grandstanding that kind of helps Teddy. Do we have a future in a couple of years of President Ted Kennedy, which I think would be kind of cool, just as far as doing revisionist history stuff. I don't know. Does this have an impact on the Vietnam War? Does it have an impact on civil rights moving forward, on the hippie movement, on the sexual revolution? There's so much happening in America at the end of the 1960s and into the 70s. It was such a time of change, and I'm really kind of curious what this show's going to do to spin that off in a different tangential direction after changing this one piece of history. The Soviets land on the moon before the Americans do. You change that one thing, and how does that throw everything else out of whack? Which I assume it will, and I'm here for it. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Again, I don't remember Joel Kinnaman's Ed. I don't remember Ed's last name. I'm sure they said it. I don't know if he's a real astronaut or not. Obviously, we have plenty of real people and probably fictional people too, kind of mixed in. I don't know if he's playing a real person. It would seem strange if he's playing a real person in this central role where we're kind of like following his home life and stuff. Maybe he is, but if it's an alternative history, like, did we take a real astronaut and put him in the doghouse at NASA and ask him to lie about something he said to the press, a quote that never actually happened, of course. So I don't know if his character's real and Karen is real. I don't know if Gordy is real, but I really liked Gordy. I thought that was that idea, when he's talking about, the world, the state of the world at the time, and the police officers beating on the kids at the '68 Democratic National Convention in Chicago, and of course he ruined it with a dirty joke there at the end. But I really like that scene, and I don't know who that actor is, but I thought he really, really crushed that. But yeah, there's a lot set up. There's also the girl from Mexico who comes across the border at the time of the landing, who they've kind of set up as a possibility of, like, you can do whatever you want, you can be a part of this. And I assuming, since we followed her so closely, that she will. I'm not sure how, but I'm really kind of looking forward to seeing how that develops. Obviously, it will be over a great deal of time. I don't know if this season follows like the 70s, or like a couple of years, or what. I know it's multiple seasons, so I don't know what kind of time jumps we do during the season, after the season, between seasons. I know Mad Men is a show I love. It's a period show, and it kind of is inconsistent about the time jumps that it does. To great effect, but they're not predictable. And I'm kind of wondering if that's what this show does as well. But I guess we'll see moving forward. Thanks for being here with me. I'm actually going to try to go to sleep here in the middle of the night. And we will see you on the next one. I'm going to keep going with this. Talk later, guys.